We've got a jam-packed edition of Te Akau TV this week. We're lucky to be joined by Sam Burgesson there at Metamata. Sam, how are you?
Yeah, good, Hazy. How you getting on?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad, mate. Well, I guess just talking about what we're going to cover off today. So we're going to be talking across 4 cards with you today, Sam, and then we're going to jump over to Melbourne to check in with assistant trainer Ben Gleeson over in the Cranbourne barn on Imperatriz and Zurian. So we'll do that a bit later. But for now, I just wanted to touch on those winners of the week that's been. So Tauranga there last week, about last night. Obviously, the other 2-year-old was scratched there on the morning of the races, and she duly obliged.
Yeah, she was great. Like we sort of said heading into the race, she's never sort of put a foot wrong, really. Been really straightforward, has a great brain. And yeah, she was super impressive, did everything well. Warren said, she couldn't have been more impressive. Unfortunately, knowledge is power. He got a temperature the morning of the races, which, happens with horses, unfortunately. So he's spending a quiet couple of weeks in the paddock just to get over. He's obviously we treat him with antibiotics and things like that, but he's an exciting colt to look forward to as well.
Fantastic. And Purgatero there got up there just on the line, but seemed to hold the others off there with ease.
Yeah, she's tough. Like we thought she might have needed the run just on her track work. Opie sort of thought, she might have been a little bit underdone, but she was super impressive, really tough. Looks a really nice mare going forward for Mr. Grace, who's been a great supporter of ours for a long time. And she's going to go to Hawke's Bay the last day. There's a Group 3 Open 1400 there. So, she's a really nice one to look forward to as well.
Well, Reese was pretty confident there as well, tipping her as his best bet, and I'm sure he was happy seeing her get across the line as well. Gave her a big rap as well for the future runs as well.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a bit of pressure and a bit of banter with these best bets. So, me and Reese and Mark try and do our form and try and help the listeners out a little bit.
Fantastic. Well, I think you're one up on him anyway, so hopefully we can find one a bit later on. But let's just kick off there at Te Rapa on Friday. Nice card there with lots of talented horses floating about. But we're going to kick off there in race number 7, the Fluid Power Distributions Mile Open Handicap. We've got the 2 runners, Predefer and Brando, in the acceptances.
Yeah, like you say, it is a nice card. Obviously, they've drawn some pretty good fields. There's some good money up. Heavy 9 is probably a little bit of a worry just to see. It's raining all over the country, so it'll be interesting to see what the next few days do. But happy with both the old boys. Predefer, he was okay first up. I think he's going to improve with that. I don't know if he'd want it really bottomless, but I think he gets in well with Jess's Claim at 3 kilos. He's drawn one, which may or may not be a good thing. But look, he sort of needs to run if we can try and sneak him into the Livermore there on the last day at Hawke's Bay. So look, expect a better run than first up, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what the track conditions do. And then Brando, unfortunately, he's just had no luck in his first two runs. Obviously, reads his 2 duck eggs, but I wouldn't be too worried about looking at that form. Unfortunately, trapped extremely wide last time at Hawke's Bay and just never got on the track. It was a really tough run, but he seems to come through it well. His work here at home was good on Tuesday. Opie rode him and he gave him the tick of approval and said he's going to run a nice race on Friday. So that's positive signs.
Cool. And race 8, the traffic management Waikato 1400. Are we expecting to see Cognito line up?
Yeah, probably not if it stays heavy. It would probably need to improve to probably a 7 or better. But look, his first up run was really good at Taupo. We sort of he gave him a little bit of time between his first trial because he was a touch disappointing, but he was really good first up there at Taupo. Obviously looking for more ground, so the 1400 suits. A bit of a sticky barrier draw, but we'll leave it up to Palmer. But yeah, just wait and see on the track conditions.
And race 9, the risk management group mile rating 65 benchmark. Spellcraft towards the end of his last campaign put some pretty impressive performances up over the mile. So he finds the mile there again on Friday. What can we expect?
Yeah, probably forget the first up run. I don't think he put in too much on the synthetic there. Up to the mile, like you say, suits. He's got a nice barrier draw, and Palmer 2 kilos off certainly helps.
Cool. And then let's roll over. We'll start off at Riccarton Park there before we kick off in the Group 1 later in the card. So we start there at race 1. The Cup Week tickets on sale now. Maiden 1400. Mazzucato probably expected a bit more on her last performance there on the synthetic, but draws barrier 13 back on the turf with Niranjan Palmer on board.
Yeah, probably did a little bit. Yeah, we think probably looking for more ground. So the step up to 14, I think is ideal. Bit of a sticky gate, but Palmer will help. He'll work that out. Gets in with a nice lightweight with the 2 kilo claim. Yeah, sort of probably just got run off its feet a bit on the synthetic, and then sort of came again late on the line. So yeah, we think up to the 1400 is key.
And race 3, the Nobby Bustle Memorial 2-year-old. Dream of the Moon has shown a bit in the trials, and I know the stable has a decent opinion of this All Too Hard filly. You do come up against one of the champion harness trainers, Mark Purdon's, kicking off his training career, so it should be a bit of an interesting race.
Yeah, for sure. Like obviously with the 2-year-olds, you sort of never really know with the form. But we're really happy with how she's travelled down and how she's done things so far in the stable. She's a bit like about last night. She sort of hasn't put a foot wrong when we've had her. Yeah, seems very straightforward. Ashley and the team are really happy with her and how she worked on Tuesday. So yeah, excited to see her kick off her career.
Fantastic. And moving down to race 4, the Neil Turtle rating 65 benchmark. The Karaka Million of last season's favourite, Taliska, lines up here. Draws barrier 6 with Niranjan Palmer on board. Yeah,
I thought he was really impressive first up, albeit on the synthetic and a maiden. But look, he spent a bit of petrol early and he had every right to knock up, and he was really strong through the line. So Ashley and the team are really happy with how he's trained on. His work was really good on Tuesday. I think he gets a nice barrier draw there. It gives Palmer probably a few options. I don't think we'll be sending him forward like we did in the maiden win. So we'll probably get a bit of cover somewhere there. And yeah, excited to see him back on the turf up to 1400, and hopefully we can, run another nice race and then get him on a Guineas path.
And race 5 there, the Rangiora New World Guineas Trial. So Trobian, I know the stables had a lot of success with this race in the lead up, obviously, to the 2000 Guineas here in November. But Trobian finds himself down there after putting in a run there in the Cambridge Northland Breeder Stakes. Quite an impressive run for third, but draws barrier 10 here with Niranjan Palmer on board.
Yeah, obviously he ran into a very good one first up. So it'll be interesting to see how Crescetti goes on Friday, because he looks like a super horse. But yeah, again, another one that we're really happy with how he's travelled down. He had a trial in between at Taupo from his first up run, and he trialled well. And yeah, look, looks a pretty even race on paper. Looks a nice race for him. So excited to see him kick off his Southern campaign down there, and another one that hopefully we can get on a nice Guineas path.
And race 9, the Pride's Easy Fed rating 65 benchmark. 2,000 metres here. Mesben is really going to enjoy seeing going up and trip there. If anyone caught her last run, she had no luck and was never a chance there, getting ridden too far back. But she probably lines up here in a pretty winnable race.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, unfortunately, the first 2 runs down south, she's just had no luck. So just ignore what the form says, because we are happy with her. I think another one that gets in well with Palmer's claim. Barrier 10, it probably gives them a few options. Hopefully she has been a touch slow away, so hopefully we can get her out of the barriers a bit better. But yeah, look, we are happy with her. She just needs some luck, and hopefully she gets it on Saturday.
Absolutely. And race 10, the Plough Hotel rating 75 benchmark. Its business time was very impressive, winning there at Riccarton last start. Draws barrier 5. Niranjan Palmer takes a claim again.
Yeah, looks another one that gets in really well with Palmer's claim. I think obviously still in 75 grade, and couldn't have been more impressive first up. We given her quite a bit of time to get over that. And yeah, look, expect another really bold race. It's probably, I haven't touched on it yet, but the track conditions may be interesting actually down there as well. So it's a soft 7. She's probably one that will get through the wet if it did come. I think it should hopefully dry out. But yeah, like I say, really happy with her.
Nice. And Sorcha there, 2 from 2 on the synthetic during her trip south. Finds herself on the turf here, unfortunately drawn very wide in barrier 19.
Yeah, obviously a sticky draw, but down the chute. So hopefully Joe can sort of tuck her in somewhere and get a little bit of a breather. But yeah, she seems to be really enjoying the South Island. Was obviously super impressive in her 2 synthetic wins, but now needs to step up to 75 and Saturday grade. But yeah, look, I was down there last Friday. She looked super, and the team couldn't have been happier with her. So yeah, she seems in good form, but needs to step up.
And race 2 there, moving over to Hastings, the card there on Saturday as well. So we kick off on race 2, the Barbecue Gourmet Premier Maidens at a time 1300. Fond memories, really impressive debut performer there for Ian Farrelly at Avondale. What can we expect in her second run?
Yeah, I think she'll go another really good race, especially if it's rain affected. I think obviously she won first up on rain affected going. And her work here on Tuesday on the course proper on wet ground was super. So look, we're really happy with how she's come through that first up win. Obviously, she needs to step up now. It looks like there's a couple of nice horses in that race. But yeah, we're really happy with her at home, and we think she'll run a really cheeky race.
Fantastic. And of course, she was the first winner there for the Pink Arrow Stallion Eminent as well. So moving down to race 4, the New Zealand Bloodstock Ready to Run Sales Trainers Series Premier. Petrucci draws barrier 1 for Trelawney Stud. Can we expect her to line up? She has Michael McNabb on her back.
Yeah, well, obviously see how the next couple of days go with the weather, and we'll sort of have a team talk with Brent Taylor there. But look, happy with her. She's a really promising mare going forward. Obviously was in stakes company as a 3-year-old, and it seems to have come back well. I thought, she trialled well enough at Taupo without being put under too much pressure, and her work here on Tuesday was really good. But yeah, just to watch and see with the track conditions.
And a race I'm really looking forward to, the Group 2 AHD Animal Health District Hawke's Bay Guineas, a prestigious race there in the Hawke's Bay, 3-year-old set weight conditions over 1400. How's Tokyo Tycoon progressed since his last start win?
Yeah, really happy with the little fella. We gave him a really quiet week after his, super first up win, and he's had a couple of nice hitouts heading into Saturday. He worked on the course proper here at Metameta on rain affected going this morning, and Joe rode him, and he was really pleased with him. He ran a really good time. He seems really happy with himself. Obviously, we sort of talked about it all the way through, but he is a hard horse to get a line on because he only sort of puts in when he has to, and obviously saves it for race day. But he's showing us all the signs at home that he's his usual self, and he seems really happy, and sort of meets a similar field to what he met first up. Obviously, the filly's in there as well, which sort of makes it a little bit interesting because she's in great form as well. And the rain affected going and up to 1400. It should be a really interesting race, but we're really happy with him. We think if it is heavy, he got through it at Metameta and the Metameta slipper really impressively. So look, we're going in with a bit of confidence. Obviously, there's some nice horses there, but yeah, we're pretty happy to have him.
And race 7, the Group 1 Arrowfield Stud Plate, weight for age over the mile. 2 runners line up here. How are their chances in the wet? That's Campionessa and Aromatic.
Yeah, I think Aromatic will definitely love it. I think it really brings her into play and probably hinders a few other key chances. So, look, the forecast for Aromatic looks really good. Obviously, a little bit of a sticky gate from barrier 12, but we'll leave that up to Warren. Warren rode her this morning on the course proper and a gallop with Fierce Flight. And he just said she just loves the wet ground. So, really happy with her. We think she's improved from her first up run. I thought she was good in the Tarzino. The step up to the mile suits her. So, I think she'll present a really nice chance. And Campionessa, I think she's definitely improved. Obviously, we went in to the first up run with 3 trials. But I think she's still stripping a lot fitter for the second up run from that first up run. I thought she ran well enough. Opie was happy with her. And he's really excited to ride her on Saturday. Another one with a bit of a sticky gate, but we'll just leave that up to Opie, and hopefully both of them can find some cover somewhere midfield and present at the right time. And I'm sure they'll, run really good races.
Nice. And race 8 there, the Better Inspect IT Premier Open Handicap, 2,000 metres. Fierce Flight ran over the mile there on the first day. Now finds himself over a more winnable 2,000 metre race with Opie Boston on board, drawn barrier 2.
Yeah, obviously nice barrier. he's always sort of looking for further from that first up run for the mile. I think even further than 2,000 is probably his ideal go, but I think he meets a really nice sort of even field. Opion obviously helps. So should present a nice each way chance, hopefully. I don't know if he'll love the wet, but like he probably has to run if he's any chance of just sneaking into the Livermore.
Nice. And over to Woodville there on Sunday, just the one runner lining up in race 7, the Tararua chiropractic rating 60, 1200. Luxuriant lines up there, John Barrier 8 with Jonathan Riddell on board.
Yeah, she obviously she ran a really good race here on her home track. Last time she's obviously on a pretty quick backup, but it was on her home track, so she was back home in her box, 30 minutes after the race. Unfortunately, she just sort of lets herself down at the start a bit. Otherwise, she probably would have won a couple more races. But I think meets a nice, finds herself in the right race. It's obviously probably not the strongest, that rating 60 race down there. It has got through rain affected going. Looks a nice enough chance, and I'm sure Jonathan Riddell can hopefully get her out of the barriers.
Nice. Well, that wraps up the runners for the weekend. And before we cross over to Ben Gleeson there in Cranbourne, can you give us your best bet for the weekend, Sam?
I think I'm going to have to stick with Tokyo Tycoon. I think, he's just a race day horse, and he seems in really good form here. So happy with him.
There you go, Tokyo Tycoon there in the Hawke's Bay Guineas. Thanks, Sam, for your time, mate, and good luck for the weekend. Where can the owners find you this weekend? Are you going to be in Riccarton or at the Hawke's Bay?
Hawke's Bay and Reese is flying down to Rickon, so any owners down there can find Reese, and I'll be at Hawke's Bay.
Nice. Well, we'll catch you down there, and we'll hopefully catch you again sometime soon. Cheers, Sam.
Awesome. Thanks, Hazy.
Well, we've just caught up with Sam Burgesson, and now we've headed over to Cranbourne to catch up with the man of the moment, Ben Gleeson. How are you, Ben?
Yeah, very well. Hamish, yourself?
Very well, thank you. Very well. And how has Imperatrice come through her last win in the McEwen Stakes? Obviously, we caught up just before she ran there, and you gave us a pretty good steer on her. But I guess none of us were really expecting that kind of performance.
Yeah, she obviously blew us away, and the rest of the country. But Mark and Sam were very confident the way they were sending her over, so she just reflected what they were already feeling, and she's come through the run terrific for a good 3 track and breaking the track record. She's pulled up so well. To see Mick D sit up with 50 metres to go and idle her down was hard to believe, but played in her favour, and she's come through the run, and we've just tried to keep her fresh over the 2 to 3 week time frame and try and keep that spring in her step, and hopefully she can reproduce.
Absolutely. And there's some comments about her dropping back to the 1,000 metres where you naturally progress through the distances as a sprinter. So how is she handling how are you handling keeping her fresh enough to kind of be ready to go over the shorter distance again?
Yeah, so we've kept her gallop work pretty minimum. She ticked over pretty lightly following the week, and then she's basically just had 2 sort of okay gallops in terms of what we've asked her to do. And her piece of work at Moon Valley yesterday morning was just sort of a maintenance work. We haven't needed to really open up the pipes as such and get her to do a hard piece, leaving plenty of improvement in her for her later races. She would just about be the exact same weight that she went into the McEwen. So bringing her home this morning, we actually took her to the beach. It's a 20-minute drive to the beach here, and we took her down there and gave her a splash, and she'll just swim, and we will really do minimum with her. And when we took her home this morning, she had a little squeal and a buck. So that sign is that she's fresh and well. Hopefully she can translate that to the track.
Nice. And the barrier draws are out. So she's drawn barrier 5 there. There's a lot of speed in the race. Some of those that she's met before. Obviously, Rothfire likes going forward. He's drawn barrier 1 there. And some of the others, I guess the newer additions will be the Uncommon James and Asphora, who was an impressive winner there recently as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a pretty similar field and make-up to the McEwen. So the likes of Zoo Style and Acromantia, they'll roll forward and put on a hot tempo. We've got probably our biggest threat to the barrier on our outside, Asphora. She'll probably try and push forward and sit behind the lead, I'd imagine. If we can try and be on her tail throughout the race, come the corner and peel off them exactly like she did in the McEwen, I'd be hoping for a similar type of, similar the way the race panned out. So, lots of speed, she'll be able to tack onto the back of them and let rip.
Well, we look forward to watching her go around there. It's a pretty late one for the Kiwi. She doesn't get off till 12:15 a.m. on Saturday morning. And then the next race at 12:45 a.m. on Saturday morning is the University Food Scarborough Stakes, Group 3. And Zurian found herself over with you in pretty good order, Ben. I saw she galloped there on Tuesday as well and looked pretty good.
Yeah, she's been super. A very late race. Hopefully you guys can be partying into the early hours of the morning. But yeah, she worked super with Imperatriz. Just went there for a look around. She actually led up the gallop in the end, and she was doing it very easily around the corner and handled, a Moonee Valley bend, which we love to see horses do that. And honestly, since she got here, she's been similar to Imperatriz. She hasn't lifted her head out of the feed bin. Her coat was immaculate when she turned up, and be a hot little race. There's some really good fillies that are top candidates for the 1,000 guineas, but we'll get a good measure as to where she's at. And hopefully she can be hitting the line from what is, again, a poor barrier, but I'm sure she can rattle home.
And OP Boston's listed to ride, but I understand given the scheduling of the race, last year it was a bit earlier. This year it's a bit later, and he's got to get his way back on a plane to New Zealand to ride on the Group 1 day there at Hastings on Saturday. So he's going to miss the ride. Who will be taking them out?
Yeah, really unfortunate situation there. But we've replaced Opie with Mark Zara, who's one of the best jockeys in the country. And, it's out with a superstar and in with another one. So it's been a smooth replacement.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps up the Moonee Valley runners, and then we head across to Mornington on Saturday with another making his Australian debut, and that is Rubicon Crossing there for Fortuna Racing. Goes around the 1,000-metre. Gown gets his maiden handicap, carries 61 kilos with Harry Coffey on his back.
Yeah, it's actually come up a really competitive little race. It's 1,000 metres around Mornington's a tight circuit. We thought it would suit her, given she really gets going and goes a million miles an hour. She could zip around that corner, and we're hoping to just teach her to settle a little bit, though. She's always taught in her 2-year-old races to go as fast as she could for as long as she could. So from that draw, we'd be hoping we can try and drop behind one horse anyway and get some cover. And we'll get a really good measure as to where she's at with that rating and up against 3-year-old fillies in Australia. So hopefully she can be in the finish and show us that she's got some Metro wins on the board, or can get some Metro wins on the board over here.
It should be a pretty interesting one there to see how he or how she measures up over there as well. But just quickly before we wrap up, the two stayers have kind of been progressing through the distances in Lord Dynastic and Savoir Faire. I thought both their runs had some merit there on Sunday at Flemington.
Yeah, Savoir Faire was super. I honestly think he should have won if he got out. Mick D was swinging off in behind horses, and it was unfortunate he got shuffled so far back in the run. If he had been able to posse up more midfield, the gaps probably would have come at the right time. And he actually galloped with the horse that won the race on the Tuesday and worked all over it. So riding was on the wall that he could have kicked off his Australian campaign with a win, but pulled up super. We'll go to a mile next with him in about 3 to 4 weeks, and he'll be hard to beat. And Dynastic, he's just looking like he needs a trip already. We want to get him out to 2,000. He's just sort of grinding away through the line, and we'd like to find a track with some give in it as well. The tracks that he's run on so far are pretty firm, and he certainly didn't really appreciate them. We'll give him a month between runs now, given we ran him so quickly, and hope to turn that around over 2,000 metres. And we'll probably find a country cup over here somewhere for him.
Awesome. Well, I think they're two very similarly placed horses. And I think they ran 6th and 7th respectively in the New Zealand Derby. So it'll be interesting to watch both of those as they step up in distance over the coming weeks as well. But thanks for your time there, Ben, and thanks for giving us an update on and all of the horses. And good luck to you over there for this weekend. And hopefully it's another cracker.
Yeah, hopefully we can celebrate a big one. Thanks, Hamish.
Awesome. Talk soon.